the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to SOUQ News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, SOUQ News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. SOUQ News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, SOUQ News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. SOUQ News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as Executive Governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, SOUQ Enlightenment.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemere Glover.
Naomi, well done, and shout out to SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching SOUQ News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to SOUQ News for your news requirements.
Tafawa Balewa Square, TBS. Tafawa Balewa Square was initially used as a horsing ground called Lagos Race Course. The edifice was constructed by General Yakubu Gowon in 1972 and named after Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa Square is located at 45/57 Marse Bangboshe Street on Lagos Island, Lagos, and referred to as TBS. TBS is a 50,000-seater capacity venue and houses the Remembrance Arcade, the 26-story Independence House, which at a time was the country's tallest building. When Lagos served as the country's seat of government, the National Assembly Complex was within the TBS. Also in the square are the National Broadcasting Commission Office, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency Office, shopping centers, travel agencies, restaurants, car parking lots, and a bus terminal. Tafawa Balewa Square is adorned with beautiful statues of white horses and red eagles, symbols of strength and dignity. Our historic neighbors include the King's College and the Holy Cross Cathedral. Tafawa Balewa Square hosted some of the country's memorable events, such as the Independence Day in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence from Britain, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is celebrated annually on January 15. The edifice is a national cultural asset. Tafawa Balewa Square, SOUQ Enlightenment.
My name is Yinka Babalola.
My name is Ijoma Pelokoro.
My name is Joshua Hassan.
I am Rotarian or Mosunde Lawson.
It's Ife Yunwarita Ejeze. My friends call me Ife.
My name is Rotarian Lola Dare.
I'm inviting you to keep watching SOUQ News. It's the right station to tune to.
I like SOUQ News. SOUQ News is good.
I want to charge you all to listen to SOUQ News, watch the news.
You can have unlimited news first time.
Find SOUQ News. Be with SOUQ News. Never switch off. You are better for it. SOUQ News is the real thing.
Listen to their coverage and you'll be glad you did.
Turn to your YouTube, turn to your Instagram, turn to all your digital channels and look for SOUQ News.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Please, guys, keep watching.
SOUQ News.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market, located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade, and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge, ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, SOUQ Enlightenment.
Hello and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. It's beautiful afternoon and hey, it's just the beginning of the week and we are here.
In SOUQ Pulse, we look at issues, we talk, we wait, we get your feedback, and want to say thank you very much for everyone that has been part of the conversation over the weekend. We've dwelt a lot on the team productivity for a while, and hey, we're getting somewhere. When the discussion goes beyond the screen and we start getting calls and people saying, okay, good, I'm guilty here, I can do better there, they will know that, yes, something is moving. And we cannot stop talking. Like we see, never keep silent on issues. Here on SOUQ Pulse, we look at not just issues that have to do with economies of Africa or Asia, we look at policies also. And at the end of everything, the most important thing is how does it put food on the table of that man, that woman in a village? How does his business translate to making his own economy, before we talk about his country, better? Then those particular policies, be those formulated by his country or international organizations, donor agencies, or multilateral organizations that is giving, taking, loaning, how does it affect everybody? Who is losing? Who is gaining? It's SOUQ Pulse, and we will never stop talking. My name is Chuks, John-Rogers Chuks, and it's nice to start this week. I have our in-house analyst here, and before I introduce him, we will get to talk about the topic. It's something that a lot of times when we see this news or when we see them, after a while, we don't follow up on them. And if we keep silent on these issues, then we'll now ask ourselves, what exactly do we even start it for? If we want to grow, because these are the engine, these are the drivers, these are really the employment we are looking for. So if we want to take it serious, then hey, let's talk about it. We'll be back after this short break. I will get to introduce what we're talking about and also our guest who is stuck with us for now till he leaves this country. Don't go anywhere.
My name is Veronica Nkechi Eze.
Charles Abana. My name is Professor Martins Emeje.
Professor Sylvester Odion Akaine.
Keep watching
SOUQ News TV.
The best news channel online.
It's elevating, it's enlightening, it's educating.
Muhammad Ali found this root in Africa. Rumble in the jungle. I swear the king is humble. Jesse Jackson, O.J. Simpson, this is black history. Andrew Young visit Africa in the late 60s. Legend, Bob Marley make the light different. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are big names. They fought for black Americans in the old days. We need the same revolution in our own ways. Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Mr. Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre and Eddie Murphy. American prosperity ain't complete with African poverty. It's legendary Idris Abdul Karim, and you are on to SOUQ News. You don't touch that dial.
Yes, welcome back. It's still SOUQ Pulse. And you know, this is SOUQ News. For today, we are looking at the drivers of every economy. They have the highest number of employment and those that are employed and those that would likely get employed. We're looking at micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. We're not looking at them as a group. We're looking at them based on a particular indices. Over the years, right from when we had our independence, when this particular group, a lot of light started shining on them, from 1960 till date, every single person can count. We've been hearing, we've been seeing, we've witnessed disbursement of loans, be it from federal government, be it from banks. Okay, those from the banks, they can really get their staff to go after their loans. We'll see government after government, administration after administration, earmark not just chunk of money, some budget of other countries. We're taking example, Nigeria, Africa. What is happening to those particular loans that are being channeled to this sector, this group? Are they just there to service the problem? Are they giving it to the problem, or are they really there to solve a solution? There was a particular line that came out in December, and we heard that the government was dropping about 70-something billion to this same micro, small, and medium scale enterprises. Now, this is not just a ghost sector. These are businesses, these are human beings, these are entrepreneurs. Now, at this point in time, we now need to start putting names to these businesses, names to these entrepreneurs, because over time, we've had different ones. I'll mention a few. We've had money for farmers before the last administration left. By the time this administration came in, they could not account for that money that was given to farmers. They had to start looking for serious measures in recovering those particular money because it was a loan. Then we had trader money. Trader money is still ongoing. Now we are still having a whole lot of. Before I start mentioning those other ones, let me introduce to us. We have Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam, good afternoon and welcome to SOUQ PULSE.
Good afternoon, Chuks. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, before I go any further, let me go straight to our question. We always start our question with that particular topic. The loans being given majorly from government to the micro, small, and medium enterprises. If we call it a loan, now, are they throwing money to the problem, or are they actually providing a solution, or seeking out entrepreneurs and handing this money over to them?
All right, it might be difficult to paint micro, small, and medium enterprises with one brush when you talked about loan that is given to them for development. There are loans that are politically driven. To that extent, you might say those money are thrown at those small and medium enterprises. On the other hand, there are genuine micro and medium enterprises that have benefited from loans, and they have grown those businesses from the level of inception to big commercial enterprises. A case in point is, if you look at the development banks, they have sponsored a lot of micro and medium enterprises that have moved from one level to the other. So if you say some of those social intervention in terms of what they give to small and medium enterprises, maybe the money has gotten into the wrong hand, but we cannot say in its totality that money is thrown at micro and medium enterprises. But beyond the political consideration in some of those monies that were given out, there are genuine micro entrepreneurs that have benefited from commercial, social loans from the government, and all kinds of intervention that come from the government. So we cannot paint that, in my view, with one brush as if money is thrown at everyone.
Before we look for the paint to use, the brush you're talking about, let's look at it from this angle. Bank of Industry, that is a body. If they are giving you money, be well assured that they have a team for recovery. And they have something at the back as collateral. That is one point. The commercial banks, if they are giving you their own money, direct quote, their own money, they are not giving it to you with they are giving it to you with a collateral. They have a recovery team for that particular money. But now let's look at
profiling of the entrepreneurs that is responsible for that business. But there are some that has moved away to some level of medium enterprise that has a good structure in place. Then you have a good bookkeeping in place. Then you're able to monitor the disbursement of those loans. But if you talk about the traders' money, which is about 5,000 to 10,000, I think those are just social intervention given to traders, in quote.
It's up to 50,000 in some places.
Yes, what I mean is from 5,000 to 50,000, those are the ones driven by political expediency to find a way to show up political popularity.
To show up votes?
Yes, I don't want to use that word. For political capital.
Okay, sorry. To show up vote.
Anyway, for political gains and political capital. For politicians, maybe to get back into governance.
Okay.
But in my view, if you study Smedon and some of the things that they have done in the past 10 to 15 years, it has been a remarkable improvement in terms of business development in that ecosystem. So we cannot, like I said earlier, just paint micro, small, and medium enterprises with one brush in terms of whether you're just handing over handouts in terms of money to them.
Okay. Now, we've scratched the surface. Let's get into the real issue now. Now, every month, first Friday of the month, we copy our system of government from the states. Every month, they have a payroll system where they're using calculating employment, aside those directly involved with government. Now, at the end of once that gets out by between 12 and 1, the country knows, okay, this is the rate, this is the percentage of employment, this is the percentage of non-employment, this is data to drive their economy, where they think they can work towards. Now, I'm looking at it from this other angle. If we say, and if that is what it is, that these small businesses are the drivers of every economy, because they employ more across the globe. If we say this is the engine, and we say, okay, good, let us focus and get productive in this side, at what point in time should we start taking data from that particular sector serious?
I think the challenge...
Be it registration, even if they can't get to CSC. Be it enumeration. At what point in time should we start taking it serious?
Chuks, I think the challenge here is that it's not that there's no data here. The challenge is that we don't have a centralized data system that captures everybody within that ecosystem. So what we should be advancing in this conversation is that this data that we have from small and medium enterprises must be centralized in a way that you can keep a tab on growth and development in that sector. Since they are the real engine of growth, where real informal sector or where most people play at, particularly when you talk about employment, is the greatest employment of labor. But in terms of the configuration, they are called informal sector. Some have registration. But I think what the Small and Medium Enterprises Agency should do is to find a way to aggregate the various data within that subsector so that people can use those data, not just data, evidence-based data that people can use to drive the process of development. Like what you mentioned, that the United States of America have a way of aggregating the impact of small and medium enterprise monthly. So those data are there. The development banks have those data. CAC has some of those data. The commercial banks have some of those data. To what extent can we aggregate this data into one data pool so that we can look at the percentage in terms of the growth in that sector, in terms of the lending to that sector, in terms of lack of repayment for social intervention loan that were given to that sector. So the data is necessary to even understand what happens in that sector. So the government, even particularly the central bank and the development bank, must find a way to aggregate the data from this sector so that we can measure their development in terms of the amount of lending they have gotten. Those that have moved from
lending from who?
From development bank and from the government as well.
Now we need to separate it, because the money coming from development bank will collect their money back.
Some of the development banks are government-driven banks, agencies as well.
We have seen this over time. The BOIs, the SMEs, all of them, they are working. I will concur to that. They are working. And when they go out to get a job done, they get the job done. Now they might have bad loans. Yes, issues will occur.
Even commercial banks have bad loans.
Yes, but now commercial banks too. Although
the point I'm trying to make is that even normal lending principles and practice, there are certain loans.
We need to separate development banks, commercial banks from government money.
I'm trying to underscore the fact that some of the loans that are given to medium and micro enterprises do not come back. I say even commercial lending, proper lending in terms of credit administration, some loans equally go bad. And they become even very doubtful.
I agree with you.
And that's why I use that metaphor, that we cannot paint micro and medium enterprise with one brush, that as if you are handing money to them for a tea party. So we need to underscore that point.
Okay, let's focus on majorly monies coming directly from government. When there are issues, now we have an economic issue. The government is working to make sure that, yes, things, even if not balanced, but things get to work. Right now, we are having that same kind of news. Government voting an amount of money to this sector. Now, what are we seeing? Government is putting this and disbursing through commercial banks. Now we get to ask, do we have a record of who is giving, who is being given, who is following up? How are they going to get the money back? Because apart from giving and getting the money back, we also need to make sure that these businesses thrive. I don't know if you understand. That's the major reason why the money is being given in the first place. The business has to work, not give money, it fails, we now start looking for how to get the money back.
If you pass those loans through a commercial bank or a microfinance bank, and they have a lending template in terms of how those money can be recovered, in how those businesses can be sustained. So if the due diligence in terms of how those monies are...
Due diligence on whose side?
No, due diligence on the bank that is giving out those money, because I know that most of those micro entrepreneurs have cooperatives, they have associations.
Remember, the money is not the bank's money.
No, it's the government money, but they are the intermediary.
Yes, but
they are intermediating, so they have an interest.
We've seen a lot of this same government money treated like government money, nobody's money.
Yes, that's a different ballgame. When you're talking about corruption in terms of lending practices in Nigeria, that's a different conversation. The point I'm trying to make is that once those lending passes through commercial banks, microfinance banks, there's a process where those monies are drawn down for the purpose to which those monies are given. And there's a tenor, and there's instruments put in place in terms of how these monies are disbursed, when this money are supposed to be recouped back, and when they are supposed to be paid. So if those commercial banks or microfinance bank, any other financial service sector that is giving that money to the micro enterprise, do not do due diligence in terms of how to recover those money, and those money go bad, then that means they have a responsibility of not protecting the government money that was given to them. So,
before we go on a break, who should hold responsible if these loans can be recovered?
The banks, who are the final lender to the micro entrepreneurs, should be held accountable, because they are doing intermediation services. And if they cannot recoup those money, I'm sure there will be a provision in the money that was given to them by the central bank, and how those money, if we have bad debts coming from there, we'll find a way to recoup those money.
From the banks?
Yeah, from the bank.
And not write it off?
No, not to write it off, unless when it's really doubtful that those money genuinely could not be recouped.
Okay, we will go on the break, and when we get back, we will go on a different phase on this same issue of small and medium scale with the micro scale industries, to be them industries, be them enterprises. These loans that are coming out, how can we make sure they fulfill the real issue why they are being pushed out? Don't go anywhere.
My name is Veronica Eze.
Charles Abana. My name is Professor Martins Emeje.
Professor Sylvester Odion Akaine.
Keep watching
SOUQ News TV.
The best news channel online.
It's elevating, it's enlightening, it's educating.
Muhammad Ali found this truth in Africa. Rumble in the jungle. I swear the king is humble. Jesse Jackson, O.J. Simpson, this is black history. Andrew Young visit Africa in the late 60s. Legend, Bob Marley make the life different. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are big names. They fought for black Americans in the old days. We need the same revolution in our own ways. Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Mr. Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre and Eddie Murphy. American prosperity ain't complete with African poverty. It's legendary Idris Abdul Karim, and you are on to SOUQ News. You don't touch that dial.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemari Glover.
Naomi, well done, and shout out to SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching SOUQ News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you, no, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to SOUQ News for your news requirements.
Okay, welcome back. It's still SOUQ Pulse, and we are here. So we spoke a lot about the loans being given and who should take responsibility when these loans fail, because we see it happen a lot of times, because we and they call it government money, national cake. I know Mr. Sam does not want to use ear to hear this, but this is what has happened over time. We could count from the farmers' money to the... There's a whole lot. This can and has not been paid back. Now, let's move somewhere else. Sir, do you think the government should consider between clusters, between incubators, between trader, we're looking at each person now, between trader unions and just individual efforts, individual businesses? Should government focus on clusters, incubators, or just individual businesses?
It has to be holistic. The challenge we have here as a people is that once we talk about failures of loan, we always have this approach that every loan that has come from government, from commercial interests, were put in the hands of people, and this money didn't come back.
Not just the hands of people, even some people in government.
No, just a moment. There's corruption. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
But I'm very sure and I'm very privy to some micro and medium enterprises, from clusters to incubators, that have done remarkably well.
I 100% agree with you.
So the point I'm trying to make, some of these loans have become very successful in terms of enterprise development. And we can count some centers even within Lagos. If you go to the Matori Incubator Center, supervised by the Minister of Science, you go to Agege Incubator Center, you have a lot of micro enterprises that were just a moment. They were incubated to a level where those enterprises have moved even from a single entrepreneurial consign even to where they have to employ 20, 30, 40 people. And they were driven by this loan in terms of equipment. They have some minor manufacturing. They have people fabricating items for this industry. Even if you go to the vocational center, you have vocational training center that train entrepreneurs on certain skill sets, and at the end of graduation, they are handed with starter packs. And some of those businesses have grown from those levels.
And being responsible. Now, let's go back to the question I asked before I made this explanation. Should government focus more on this that we see that is working?
No, the government has agencies already.
Should they focus more on
they should focus more on those agencies. Then the supervising ministry should do more due diligence on the disbursement of this loan, and they make sure that these loans get to the final micro enterprise that needs
the real
enterprise that needs this money for development.
Not just people filling paper and someone signing, because that is what we see on the daily in Africa. A loan is announced. If you are qualified, apply. The application ends up is all about forms, your ability to fill a good profile and submit it with documentation.
It's not the case always.
It's not the case always.
There are corruption in the disbursement process. So the government should focus more to remove those leakages in the processes, so that the final beneficiaries can get those money for what those money are really meant for. And once the tenure of those loans expire, then they should find a way of getting those monies back. In situations where there are issues with those enterprises, then a repayment plan can be put in place for them. For those that are really serious, that will do well with those loans, should be extended so that we can develop that sector to create more employment for people.
Okay, we have National Directorate of Employment. Growing up, this used to be a very popular place. Very, very popular. You get to hear about them right from, even from the National Orientation Agency. They always direct people, hey, go to your state or go to your local government, there is an office there. Go to this place, there's an office there. And a lot of vocational training came through that particular agency. Where are they right now? And in this scheme of things where government is looking forward to empower people that have ideas ready to work, where can this agency come to play? Because, sorry, they are sleeping.
The National Directorate of Employment was Ibrahim Babangida's initiative that had a relationship with the NYC, where certain youths can be trained on entrepreneurship. After the NYC, they were supposed to give some pack to be able to enable them start up those who have technical skills to set up agency. But everything with government to a very large extent, rather than improving on the efficiency on that particular directorate, over the years, it appeared that it's on paper. The beneficiaries of that directorate cannot really be seen in what they give out. But like I mentioned earlier, if you look at vocational center, skill center, particularly with state government, there are real training, technical training, vocational training, and after the training, some are 6 months, some are 1 year. Before you leave those skill acquisition center, you are given certain things to start. If you are a welder, you have the welding machine, you have some of those items. If you are into craft, bead making, weaving, you have those items, and some of those enterprises are doing very well. There are some that I know of in particular that operate in Maryland that were supported by some of these vocational centers.
Maryland in Lagos?
In Lagos, Maryland in Lagos. There are guys who even started, there's a particular guy who started from Yaba College of Technology that is employing over 100 of persons in that trade. So we cannot really say that those loans have not been beneficial in terms of the development in micro and small and medium enterprise. The point I'm just trying to say here is that there are certain benefits from those loans, and development has been achieved in that sector. Corruption, again, is a major problem. So we should focus on addressing corruption. Then the oversight function of those regulatory agencies should be followed, particularly by the media. We can follow the trail of disbursement to when that money gets to the final beneficiary.
Okay. We are going to cite this particular example. Years back, we come to read it in history right now. You've cited that several times too. When China closed their borders, even before they closed their borders, their leaders told their people that they have to feed themselves and clothe themselves. That if they're waiting for clothes from the West or waiting for food from outside, they will go hungry or go naked. They had to do that themselves. At what point in time are we going to tell ourselves we need to start getting serious?
It's always very easy to use the China example. We only look at one side of the China example in terms of closing their door to the West and closing their door to the global space generally. But the government itself provided some incentive for those doors to be closed.
If the government provided some incentive for those doors to be closed, yes, let's ask ourselves this question now. With the 75 billion budgeted that is coming to this particular sector in this year, what's it called? 6 billion through UBA, with the African Free Trade Zone also coming within Africa this same year. There are several of them, if I keep counting several of them. Is this not enough if we look inwards and say, we are going to get productive and get serious? Can't we do something with this?
Yes, some of these people are productive, but the regulatory, no. I don't like to generalize.
Okay.
Is a problem when you generalize.
Okay.
I'm saying that these facilities and opportunities that exist within Africa, there are micro and medium enterprises that want to take advantage of this concession, of this window, of this incentive that the government is giving. But the regulatory framework itself and the business environment is not even conducive for small and medium enterprise.
Small player.
Yes, the small player to be able to move their goods outside Nigeria. You talk about challenges of packaging.
Can we satisfy the market here? Can we satisfy the market here?
Yes, why the market here is being developed, there's a need for you to equally export so that you can earn some foreign exchange for that sector. So the point I'm making is there are challenges with micro and medium enterprise. So government needs to, like the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed into law since 2021, and this 2024, some country is still having challenges in terms of the framework that was put in place to aid trade, inter-African trade. If those impediments are not addressed by various governments, then these small and medium enterprises that are just struggling to survive, to provide services, may go under because the necessary framework that can drive up or scale up their services or activities is being hampered by either language barrier, either repayment barriers and all that. So the point is that we should create an environment that will help to sustain those informal sectors, which are the real driver of the economy. Federal government must find a way for banks to meet the prudential guideline in terms of lending to agri sector, small and medium enterprises. There are certain percentage of your lending ratios.
Are you saying federal government should find a way of bank lending banks money, or federal government providing money for banks to act as intermediary?
No, there's a regulatory framework, a prudential guideline for the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Okay.
This is your lending portfolio. These are the ratios of your lending. So there are certain percentages of commercial lending
from the bank.
From the bank.
At what percentage?
That's a different ball game. But let's hold just a moment.
We can't go two digits for
I will
small
get
businesses.
There. Let me underscore the point I'm trying to make. I'll get to the cost of fund later. These banks do not respect those prudential guidelines. You are supposed to lend 10% of your loan portfolio to agri sector. You are supposed to lend 2% or 3% to micro and medium enterprises. But then they use those prudential guidelines in supporting imports rather than focusing on developing.
And the big companies.
And big companies.
You don't want to mention that?
I don't want to mention any name.
Okay.
Because you will charge me for advertising if I mention any name. I am just an analyst, so I cannot go in that route. So the point I'm making, the second leg which you brought is the cost of funds. What is the cost of funds to financial service sector? At what rate do they provide lending to micro and small and medium enterprises? You are getting a 2-digit loan from commercial bank for small enterprises that are struggling to survive. So to what extent can you grow that sector if you don't have a single-digit lending rate to certain specific sector, like the agri sector, some of these micro enterprises? So that is a challenge. So that's why I said, just give me some little time. Number one, there's a problem in terms of lending, but the central bank has just put some new framework in place. Let's hope that this new framework, and with the banking supervision from the central bank, they're able to look at the books of these banks and that they respect those prudential guidelines that have been put in place to regulate lending to certain sectors to grow the economy. And the government, on the other hand, must find a way to grow that sector.
Okay. Now, I like when you were saying the government. Let me draw your mind back to COVID. During the era of COVID, nations were bailing out their small businesses, small enterprises. Africa also started bailing out. Take example, Nigeria started bailing out small businesses, and a particular portfolio of fund was released for small businesses. At the end of when we started seeing the names of the companies that took majority of the funds, they were not small businesses. But this was government that was giving out the money. They were not small businesses. Just like you said, we shouldn't mention names. A chunk of those particular funds went to big conglomerates that I might not even say how the COVID affect them that much compared to the small business. So at who should we start holding responsible?
Now the point is that the agencies that give this money should be sanctioned, because there are basic parameters by which medium and small enterprises are determined. So if you have a big company that is doing a business of over 100 million, finding its way to that list, the enterprise has benefited from those loans.
Okay. Now, let's look at spread. We also get to see issues where a lot of spread of government interventions, like you call it, government, let me just keep that word, interventions. We see it majorly happening in regions. Not the percentage of it spreading around is not that much, whether it's information or interest or politics. Now, when a ruling party is in power, the focus goes to where they got majority of the vote. Right now, at the end of election is over, productivity is the next thing. If a side of the country is poor and not producing as much, it's going to affect everybody. What will you say, what will you tell whoever is in power when it comes to spreading loans for enterprise?
I think the issue is that we must avoid politics when there's a need to distribute resources or redistribute resources to citizens. So more often than not, politicians find a way of settling people within their political party. That is not supposed to be. The money is for citizens, so it should be distributed evenly or redistributed evenly beyond party line. Party lines have become a major challenge in terms of how government, social interventions, government resources are being managed in recent time. So politicians and government agents or agencies must avoid this political patronage that is inimical to growth and development. The apprenticeship system that you talked about, that's a part of the culture, is already in practice But I think the issue...
It's in practice, but we don't take it like...
No, it's in practice. The point that we'll be talking about in this discourse is to what extent can we scale it up more than what is currently being practiced. I do know that there are families, there are culture that have built enterprises based on the apprenticeship system. It's already in place.
On this first day of the week, thank you very much. I hope I'll keep seeing you till we keep seeing you.
My pleasure.
You're welcome, sir. I want to say thank you very much for everyone that has been part of this program. Remember, this is our home. This is Africa. And we have to get productive. We have no excuse to be lazy. We have no excuse to depend on another continent, be it for food, be it for any other thing. Yes, we will trade, but we have to bring something to the market. So, hey, let's get busy. And remember, don't stop talking. We'll see you tomorrow on SOUQ Pulse. Bye.